Welcome viewers, we're on. We're going to go out for a paddle. Set the gear up. Central Coast Marine Rescue, Central Coast Marine Rescue, Central Coast Marine Rescue. CC 130 for a procedural radio check at Gosford Main boat ramp. Over.
CC 130, this is Marine Rescue Central Coast, you are loud and clear on 16, over.
Central Coast Marine Rescue CC 130 logged on to app and will follow mobile app procedures. CC 130 out.
CC 130, sorry, your last message confused me a little bit. Are you wishing to log on, over?
Marine Rescue CC 130 has logged on. Radio check procedure and will follow mobile app procedures. CC 130 out.
Marine Rescue Central Coast out.
And that's how you do that, viewers. Well, we had a storm come through last night. Hang on, we got a tangle here at the back. I'm going to talk about emotional incest and splitting. The splitting of the psyche to try and accommodate emotional feed between the intimate partner and the parent-child relationship. How the emotional incest person tries to split their emotional feed, which has become dysfunctional between themselves and their children, and now they're in damage control and they've got to try and split, and it doesn't work. Their emotional supply, their intimate emotional supply now between the new partner and the child. Just as we set the watch, and it doesn't work. We're on. Okay. Yes, and it doesn't work. So let's start at the beginning. I'll just get on board. Okay. We'll just go through the foundations of emotional incest and then move on to the subject of splitting if I don't get sidetracked or distracted. Excuse me. So emotional incest usually comes about when the children are old enough to be approached by a parent who has gone through a breakup with the partner or the husband or the wife, whatever the case is. I'm going to use the mother-son combination, but the combinations vary. Father, golden child daughter, scapegoat daughters. There's all different combinations in which emotional incest works. But it's usually with the golden child, be it the son, daughter, whatever. The parents break down, they lose interest in one another, they become scornful towards one another for whatever reason. The husband may have come home and caught his wife having sex with the next door neighbour or his best friend. Empty condom packets all over the floor in the bedroom. To his dismay. Or the wife comes home and there's alcohol, the smell of alcohol, bottles lying around the lounge room, cigarette butts in the ashtray, lipstick on one of the cigarette butts, and of course she catches the husband having an affair with her best friend. Usually that's how it goes. And this breaks down the marriage. It could be continual lying. It could be continual domestic neglect. not addressing their responsibilities properly or correctly. This causes aggravation. The next thing, the husband or the wife's whinging to their friends about the partner or the marriage. It's not this, it's not that, it's not what I expected. She's changed, he's changed. The bloody children, etc., etc. The next thing, the fighting starts. The sarcasm starts, the arguments, oh, you look fat. What do you think of this dress? Oh, I think you should wear the other one. The wife might say to the husband, oh God, you're lazy. And he probably is. But people take offense, unfortunately, to correction. Correction's not something people know how to use anymore as a way of personal development. Sometimes your best friend is the one that has the courage to tell you how it is. They're the sort of friends that you want. Bit of wind this morning. We had a pretty savage windstorm, bit of rain with it, come through last night. So there's still the tail end of that, and I think it's going to be a little bit windy today as well. I'm supposed to be starting a job at the Leagues Club just over there, but we're waiting for the purchase order before we start laying blocks in there. I'll do talks while we're in there working, if it's not too noisy. The husband starts whinging about the children instead of disciplining and guiding the children. This aggravates the mother by way of maternal protection. Better to meet a bear robbed of its cubs than a scornful woman. And things escalate. The relationship breaks down. Hang on. The relationship breaks down, and the parents start whinging to the children. Oh, your father, you know what he's like. He never... And that's how it starts. Oh, go speak to your mother about it. And this is an evasion of parental responsibility. This can become, when things begin to break down in the relationship, it can become, the children can become an outlet for the frustrations, disappointments and resentments and bitternesses of the parents. The children will witness the parents fighting and abusing one another, trying to justify whatever the situation is amongst themselves. Which isn't good. This traumatizes the children, and then at the split up, all of a sudden the child is now being called upon to be a professional therapist that has to sit there and listen to the whinging and the whining and the sadness and the despondency of the parent towards the other parent. And this is abuse, emotional incest. What happens is the child doesn't want to see any more harm or grievance. So they go along with the role playing. And what happens is the child begins, particularly if it's the mother's son, begins to subconsciously think, well, I'll take on the role now as my mother's confidant. And things start to take a turn. Things start to get deeper. The mother now, in her mind, thinks, well, okay, I'm getting some kind of relief from this. My son, they don't say it like this, but I'll make my son my little husband. My son can become my little husband. And now all of a sudden you've got a surrogate partnership between the mother and the son. The father leaves with the best friend of the mother or something like this, somebody at work, the secretary at work, this kind of thing. And the mother now turns to the son or the sons, who play different roles depending on their character and where they fit in, to meet the emotional needs of the mother relative to the trauma that she's going through. Some people have the good sense to seek proper counsel. Some, it's a minority. The trauma's all too much. They end up medicated on some kind of medication. And they begin to share intimate parts of their life just by way of conversation, just by way of presence. The teenage or adult sons. In some cases, the mother, depending on how vicious the situation gets, can collaborate and collude with the sons or daughters to drive the male partner away. And this becomes then a part of the nature of the woman. If she meets someone, she'll tend to, and this is emotional incest becoming covert, if she meets someone and she likes them and the children start to manifest against that, then she'll triangulate the situation like she did with the husband to get rid of him, and she'll use the children and their hostility in a triangulation, strangulation situation to get rid of the new partner. I've seen this before. And the partner's not sure what's going on if you're half a decent person. But if you've experienced it, you can tell straight away what's going on. And they end up back in their emotional incest default position. What'll happen is there'll be intermittent periods where a consciousness inside the adult child, male, will trigger an awareness of this relationship between me and my mother is just too close. And this can cause a resentment towards the mother, because the mother does not want the little husband to abandon her. And she'll run after these people in a wife role with the expectation that they're not going anywhere. It's narcissistic. I'll have someone there to look after me when I get older. That's the trains in the background there. And the son will play this role while it suits him, but they do soon get sick of it and play on the vulnerability of the mother. They catch on to what's going on, and then they play on the supply of the mother while they're trying to find their way disabled way through life, because they become over-dependent on the mother, and the mother becomes over-dependent on the children. If the mother meets a partner, this is where the splitting comes in. And it's not a one-night stand where she's getting pumped and dumped and just some stranger, some dysfunctional stranger gets through some unsatisfactory and boring casual sex only to disappear, usually to the mother's loss of confidence or to the mother's convenience. People do strange things when they're on drugs and alcohol out on a Friday night or Saturday night. They end up with STDs, psychological damage from the abuse that they put upon themselves sexually, thinking that it's satisfying. They lose their self-worth. Their identity can be disrupted by the intrusion of somebody else's personality entering through them through intercourse, the soul and spirit exchange of an unhealthy stranger. Oh yeah, people don't consider all the damage that they're doing to themselves. They play the victim role. But I can tell you, for a lot of it, it's not. For a lot of it, it's just bad decision making on the part of the adult. They've lost their relationship, and that was big, whatever that was. They've lost their relationship. They've lost their way, in a way, because the world of casual sex and all this sort of thing isn't working, and it hasn't worked, and it never did. People just check out in the end. They don't feel any value. And as I said, they end up with physical diseases and mental health issues. We're not designed for that, although it is a part of some people's culture. And that flower's starting to bloom now. I don't know if you can see the red flower there on that tree. That'll be nice and red soon, that tree. And so when you come along and you're not just the casual type, because these people begin to accept that before things start, they're going to end. That's just what life does to them. They self-prophesy. But if someone comes along that really knocks them off their feet, someone that has really got something to offer, it's a bit of a shock. It's a bit of a shock to the mother, because they don't expect it, they've given up. And it's an absolute trauma to the children, because they've now got the mother where they want her, trapped in a corner, being the wife for them. And these are adult men who just can't get their way out of living at home. A lot of them don't pay their rent. If they do, it's only spasmodically, just enough to keep the mother happy. The mother ends up becoming their support. She's happy to get up and go to work with the idea that she's doing everyone a favor and that she's the martyr and the hero because she's the main provider. She's gone masculine. And the new partner is having an impact on this woman. The children are noticing that this person's not going away. This puts pressure on the mother to keep delivering emotionally to her little husband or husbands. And now the woman's under pressure because she's got to deliver to keep the partner around. She likes this person. But she's also got to deliver to stay on side with the spoiled adult sons. And so she tries to split. She tries to condition the intimate relationship around the needs and wants of the emotional incest that she's formed between the golden child and herself. Now, the golden child, if this person stays around too long and mum looks like she's really starting to get interested and influenced, this could really work against the arrangement and the formation that's taken place for the little husbands to have mummy running after them as their wife and provider. It's twisted. It's really twisted. Begins to come under pressure, and the adult sons begin to play up. Now, the mother will try and bring this into order, and the partner will be going, I'm not getting your attention. I'm having sex with you and everything, but I'm just not getting your attention. What's the problem? Well, the problem's the children in the background. She's trying to manage their infantile behaviour. They don't like you. They never did, they never will. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're not DNA, you're not liked. That's all there is to it. You have to accept that. So she's in conflict now. She's trying to work out, how do I maintain my support role as the wife to my mini husband that I've created, who dislikes my intimate partner that I enjoy, who's noticing that my attention is probably being taken from him because of the mentality of my child. And the next thing, you've got this quandary going on where you're saying to this woman, you better ship up or I'm going to find somebody that's going to play a proper role. And this is what emotional incest does to these women. They make a rod for their own back, and they can't discipline these males. I've seen these males throw tantrums. I've seen them bail the mother up in the corner. 6'4" young men having tantrums because mummy doesn't want to be their wife anymore, and she's brought this on herself. By getting into that role, she didn't understand that there is such a thing called emotional incest, that it does have abusive effects on the children, and the children will fight not to lose it because it's too convenient. It's not maternal. It's not the normal maternal relationship between the mother and the children. This is an extra maternal relationship, and I think we've got a train coming, where the mother surrogates the son. So when an intimate partner comes along and the son senses, hang on a sec, this guy, who is this person? And mum likes him, it just doesn't go down well. Particularly for the mother, because the son's going to have severe objections, and it won't stop. They'll do everything they can to get you out of the picture. And this goes for women with the son as well. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. The son will be whinging about you to the mother. The mother might have a few things to say here and there about her partner, and they gratify each other this way to assure one another that everything's all right. It's going to be okay, even though I've got a partner now it's going to be okay, but it doesn't compute. This doesn't compute. And conflicts start. Now the conflicts start because now we've got a power play. This person can't be in our lives. It's a disruption to our relationship, our emotional incestual relationship. I need my supply. Where are you? You'll hear the phone ringing constantly at the start. That'll be the son complaining in the background. Why aren't you here? What are you doing with him? Again, what about us? He's taking your attention away from me. Seen it all. You shouldn't be with him. You should be here with us. These are adults. 18, 19, 20, all the way up to 30, 40, 50. Some people just never leave their mummy. We ain't going to get the sunset this morning because there's a cloud bank, but we might get some colour. We'll see. So we'll start chopping across now. I've got to go and look at this job at the Leagues Club anyway. And so what I'm showing to you, explaining to you, is the conflicts these people go through because of the emotional incest that they've created. Now, they don't realise this at the time. They're just trying to soothe themselves through the breakup, through the breakdown of the adult partners. But the progression as they turn to the children as the counsellor, as the listener, becomes lustful because they say too much. Too much is shared. And this intrigues the son and incites the son in a lustful way towards the mother. You'll catch them smelling their mother's undies. They'll come behind the mother and cup her around the stomach, just under the breasts, brushing against the breasts, smelling their mother's hair around the neck, saying innuendos that have a sexual connotation. The mother will praise the son and tell them how wonderful they are, and they're really not progressing at all. That's her way of keeping them around, keeping them confident, indirectly sabotaging them psychologically to be dependent on her, which guarantees her not ending up on her own, because she knows the strain of all this could and probably will push the new partner away. They're not stupid, but they'll be prepared to lose the relationship for the unresolved through the emotional incest. The partner will be going, what is this void? Why am I having to follow up with this person on this void? They'll be having sex. She'll come over and give the sex and try and use that as a way of holding the partner. That might work in some cases, but for the alphas and the sigmas, that ain't going to work. So they end up just with the fruit that's lying on the ground. That's where the casual part of it comes in, or the couple of months relationship here and there. And what happens is they become enmeshed with the priority ultimately being on the little husband. And it's the same for the adult child with their partner. The partner's just the third wheel. The main hub is the mother-son, golden child, dependent parent, little husband, I'm your wife relationship. And these people do damage to their intimate partners because they're not playing a full constructive emotional role. They're split. And the partner will sense this void, this lack of intimacy. The partner will sense that something, this isn't normal. And the woman will push it until the partner's gone. They don't care about losing the partner. They get used to it. And they take the risk and go, well, oh well, I'll masturbate. I've got lesbian friends. I can find somebody else. If this person goes, then I haven't got the worry of having to be concerned with this person anymore. And you're being used. They don't know or don't want to, have no intention of building a future with you, because their future is committed to the emotional incestual relationship, the extra maternal relationship. I'm speaking to somebody. This is good stuff because I've lived it. I've seen it. I've spent thousands of hours trying to work this stuff out. At my expense. Because these people just default back into their evil little domestic formation, emotional incestual enmeshment formation, and they will waste your time. They'll try and keep it as covert as they can, but the closer you get, the more overt it becomes. Somebody's going to manifest at some point. If it's you with the parent, the child's going to manifest. If it's you with the adult child, the parent's going to manifest. That's when it moves from covert to overt. Because the emotional incestual enmeshment will not want the intruder to stay around. So we're going to start to see manifestations, misbehavior, as I've said before. They'll have a family thing going on and you might not get invited. And you'll be standing there scratching your head. At first you'll go, oh, okay, no worries. And then you start to notice more of this. You start to sense the hostility coming off the mother or the adult child, coming out of the emotional incest to try and keep you at a distance. And it's covert. And then all of a sudden something will happen and they'll have a snatch and grab to try and vandalize who you are to the parent or the child, depending on the combination. Let's say the child will try and vandalize the mother's boyfriend to try and get more supply and influence, more supply out of the mother and influence over the mother to keep that control and authority. It's all manipulation. But it's all happening at your expense. If you're the girlfriend of the golden child or the wife or the partner of the mother. Because the extramarital relationship, the emotional incest, will win. It will ultimately win. It doesn't matter how good you are, how bad you are, it will win. Now, this is the splitting, just as we come in. What you'll find and start to consider is, hang on a sec, her children don't like me. For whatever reason it is, they don't like me. Yet she is still coming to see me. She won't resolve the issue and say, this is my man. So what we've got is a person that's not taking accountability with her children or stepping up to the plate in her relationship for her man. Right? She's just winging it. She knows the sons ain't going anywhere because she's made them too reliant on her, and she knows it. They ain't going nowhere, so I'll push them. I'll keep going to see him. In one of the cases, I was barred from the house, more or less. She was never going to say that, but the kid didn't want me there, and I knew that. Quite frankly, I didn't want to put up with his pathetic infantile attitude or behaviour, which she constructed. So So instead of, I used to say to her, why don't you just tell your son that this is my relationship, you're not really got anything to do with it, Jason really hasn't done anything wrong to you, and move forward. She couldn't do it and wouldn't do it. So I thought to myself, okay, this person's a person of unresolved. She's in rebellion to her children. She don't care what damage she's doing to them by seeing me. And she don't care what damage she's doing to me by not resolving the issue with them. So my conclusion was this woman is just a rebel. She's like the Dutch in World War II. This is the splitting. This is the carelessness of these type of women. The Bible talks about in the book of Proverbs and other places, where they try and split themselves and wing it until somebody breaks down. Now the children will be breaking down and challenging her to get away from the partner. That's just a given. She'd be used to that. But what she wouldn't be used to is people having standards, a man having standards and saying, step up, you're pushing my tolerance or I'm gone. And so she's winging it. She knows that the pressure's on, but she hasn't got the countenance of forbearance or character to put things in order. That's the splitting. She remains split. Rather than put things in order and take a bit of conflict and take it on the chin and go, okay, then I've had to do that to work this out. She just lets things deteriorate. Now that's careless. So what you have is a careless woman. Now it might not appear that way, and she might say, no, I care. Care is always relative to resolve. And if she's not willing to resolve things for her sons and for her partner, she's trouble, and she's always going to be trouble. And that was the conclusion that I come to. And you have to do it. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt. But while you're doing that, you have to be examining the situation and deal with it as quickly as you can. Because they'll just waste your time. They'll keep coming back if you're A-grade supply. It's too convenient. They'll keep coming back. And that's how splitting works. But it doesn't work for the person that's doing it. It might for a while, but people cotton onto it really, really quick. You've been listening to Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, Gosford, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. If you found this content of any value, whoopsie, then consider pressing like and subscribe. You can share my content if you think it'll help someone, if you know someone that's going through this and they don't understand the circumstances. And I'll see you on the next video real soon. Bye for now.